Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, call hello, Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushua, Bahashim Rakakwadash, and of course, double honors go out to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who continue to push out this truth. Salutations to the fellow Akim out there across the four corners, pushing this truth in all honesty and sincerity, in hopes of waking up the hopeful elect. All right, the remaining hopefully elect. This is Naaman with the DC camp. And as you can see on the screen here, in my Google search, it says Vladimir Putin has cancer. There's been all kinds of speculation for at least a couple of months now. Might as well say 3, something like that. Don't know for sure, but as you can see here, some of these news sources I never heard of. The Mirror I have, this one I haven't. The Express I haven't. The Jerusalem Post, that's interesting. Putin undergoing cancer treatment, survived assassination attempt. And I started thinking about this because it was like, since the beginning of the year, it's like this push, all right, with this Ukraine thing, and all of a sudden Russia's the boogeyman again, all right, and we know that things are speeding up now. iNews says Putin treated for advanced cancer and survived assassination attempt. Same as the Jerusalem Post. Same as the New York Post here. Newsweek, Putin treated for cancer in April. Does Putin have blood cancer? The Spectator. Independent. Putin cancer rumors grow amid signs of ill health. As insider reports suggest he could hand over power. Fortune says coup to remove cancer-stricken Putin underway in Russia, Ukrainian intelligence chief says. Oliver Stone even chips in, says Putin had cancer in years. He shadowed him for a project. All right, keeps going. Is Putin sick? Once again, these I've already read. Scotsman, is Putin really sick? Does Putin have terminal cancer? All right, and this is from 4 days ago. National World says, is Putin ill? Oligarch claims Russian leader has blood cancer. Again, 4 days ago. As you can see, it goes on and on and on. Daily Mail, once again, says Putin has 3 years to live due to his rapidly progressing severe cancer. 5 days ago. Could it be? And my thing had always been, since I saw a little article a few months back, that they wanted to get rid of this guy. He's standing in the way, and I just recently found it. This from 13 hours ago from Newsweek. It says Putin treated for cancer in April. All right, just read that. The Guardian, rumors continue about Putin's health with little to back them up. All right. It says cancer or Parkinson's disease. Let's see. Mirror says Vladimir Putin losing his sight and given 3 years. We already seen that. 9 hours ago, diagnosed. This is the Grid News, grid.news. 9 hours ago, hardly a day passes without fresh speculation about the health. And I had to put the emphasis on that speculation, all right, about the health and welfare of the Russian leader. But why is all this coming out now? All right. Says Putin has blood cancer. He has thyroid cancer. All right, that's another one. All right. Wow. 23 hours ago, he's terminally ill again, says ex-military source. All right. Mobile Twinner. Vladimir Putin visited by cancer doctor 35 times. All right. Vladimir Putin took a cancer specialist with him on regular trips away from blah, blah, blah. Rumors about his health have been rife since the invasion of Ukraine. We don't know if this is just shit just put out there as a distraction. But what made me focus on this, something I saw a couple of months ago. It says, this is from Portsmouth over in the UK. World War III, is Vladimir Putin sick? Putin has cancer and is in a hurry to invade Ukraine. Okay, that was from March. Um, Dispelling the real reason why Putin suddenly appears to have developed cancer. Uh, let's see. Russian oligarch secretly recorded saying Putin is very ill. All right. Supposed to hand over power or something like that, whatever. But I want you to listen to this. This is an article. Oh, let me scribble over here. From Newsweek. Now, supposedly this was circulated around, and as of course, people are denying it. Of course. But just listen to the language. Again, this is from Newsweek, and it says Russian elites are allegedly planning to remove Vladimir Putin, according to Ukrainian intelligence, with a successor already in mind. Now, again, this could be just, a distraction. All right. It says the incendiary claim came from the chief directorate of the intelligence of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. All right. If you can believe everything that comes out of there. The post boldly begins with poisoning, sudden disease, accident. Russian elite considers the possibility of removing Putin. In the environment of the Russian business and political elite, a group of influential persons opposing Vladimir Putin is formed. Their goal is to remove Putin from power as soon as possible and restore economic ties with the West, destroyed due to the war in Ukraine. The alleged group is not only planning to potentially assassinate Putin, it has also decided on a potential successor, Alexander Bortnikov, who currently serves as Russia's Federal Security Service Director and headed up the analysis of the Ukrainian population and military capabilities ahead of the secret invasion. So all kinds of, where they talk about the spy game, and on top of that, you got the news cabals spreading all kinds of crap. But nonetheless, I thought this was interesting because I had often thought that Putin was a maverick of sorts. But in any case, let's continue. The chief directorate claims that Putin and Bortnikov have recently had a falling out, with the Russian president blaming his subordinate for the country's difficulties in taking over Ukraine. Bortnikov is now reportedly working with a group of Russian elites and devising potential ways to remove Putin. And he's still alive? It is Bortnikov who has recently fallen out of favor with the Russian dictator. The official reason for the FSS leader's downfall is fatal miscalculations in the war against Ukraine. It was Bortnikov and his department who were responsible for analyzing the views of the Ukrainian population and the capacity of the Ukrainian army. Who's to say he's not associated with the Ukrainian people either? Somehow he's one of them. I don't know. Whatever. But in any case, we know this shit is falling apart. That we know. All right. It's not, and when I get down here, it's going to really blow your mind. It says, while originating from an official Ukrainian government source, there is little actual evidence provided in the post to back up the claims. All right. If there is a conflict. Now I want to shift. Let's see. Skip on down. Lindsey Graham. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham, who is from South Carolina, we all know that, has recently come under fire for repeatedly implying that Putin ought to be assassinated to bring about an end to the Ukrainian conflict. Now you got to remember that these devils had, and we also know that the Bidens are connected to this, had built bioweapons laboratories. Okay. If I'm a leader, you think I'm going to let that, and it's on my borders? Or you don't think I'm going to take some kind of action? Just saying, actually within my borders. These two have been going, Ukraine and the Russians have been going at it for centuries. All right, it's nothing new. Experts warn that such rhetoric could give the impression that the U.S. government supports the antagonistic idea. And I just want to say also, isn't it ironic when you consider all this shit started when you remember Albert Pike's, what was that book? Dogmas. Crap. Got it on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, about 3 world wars, and then after that you had uh, these dirty motherfucking what they did to the czars, Tsar Nicholas and his family. You know, that's where the play Anastasia comes from. These so-called Jews, how they had to get rid of them to establish the beginnings of establishing this so-called New World Order. All right, it all started here. All right, with Russia. Anyway, it says the only way this ends is for somebody in Russia to take this guy out, Graham said, tweeted on March the 3rd. You will be doing your country and the world a great service. Really? Okay. It says the White House press secretary, then she just stepped down, Jen Psaki, I guess that's how you say it, strongly denounced his words and assured the international community that the Biden administration does not advocate for any such. That's just a company line. All right. Supposedly since, what was it, 75, under Ford, they had this, what's it called? Some kind of thing where they don't, well, openly it says that they don't assassinate foreign nationals and, you know, foreign leaders, that sort of thing. Like, wink, wink, you know, whatever. Here he is again. But I want to show you something else. Now, we all know that this devil, you know, Revelation 12 and 12, you know, he knows he's got a short time. Like I said earlier, things are just falling apart. But could this guy be in the way of something else? He's not going along with the program. Let's see. Russia and USA versus the Rothschilds crime mafia that wants a global, you know, let's see. Supposedly Putin kicks the Rothschilds out of Russia. Let's see. That's interesting. Rothschild tells Trump to shut the fuck up about reforming. Let's see. Here it is, fact check. Nathaniel Rothschild did not in all caps, write to British government, because this is supposed to have been a letter that was discovered and put out there. It says, did not write the British government calling Putin the most dangerous man since the defeat of Hitler. And it says fake letter, okay, but did Nathaniel Rothschild write a letter to members of the British government calling Russian President Vladimir Putin the most dangerous man since the defeat of Hitler? No, that's not true. This is utterly untrue and completely fabricated, a spokesman for Rothschild Investment Company told Lead Stories. Now, often, if you've been paying attention the last few decades, usually when they, in other words, don't believe the shit, but, you know, well, they say now, what's the, what is it called, conspiracy theory now? It says the claim appeared in a Facebook post archived here on March 4th, 2022. It opens, heir to the Rothschild family, Nathaniel, that's this devil right here. Let's see if I can blow it up. Yep, right here. Now that's all it'll let me do. All right. But that's him there. Heir to the Rothschild family, Nathaniel Rothschild today wrote to members of the British government giving his view that Vladimir Putin is the most dangerous man since the defeat of Hitler, with Xi Jinping a close second, and explaining that Ukraine is an essential piece that we cannot afford to lose in the geopolitical chessboard. All right. And this is, of course, what it looked like on Facebook. Heir to the Rothschild family, all right. blah, blah, blah. I just read that. We must bring Russia to its knees through any means possible to send a strong signal to the Chinese and to protect our global system of norms and liberal values. Isn't that not what they're attempting to do through their sanctions and things of that nature? But the thing is, if this is true, Russia had thought beforehand about this, and they took certain precautions. All right. It says we must be under no illusions. If we allow Vladimir Putin to seize Ukraine, it will send a signal to our enemies, Iran, China, and North Korea, especially, that we will do nothing when faced with an onslaught of force. In effect, our current path of lack of military action means that our global order is dead on its feet. I urge you to deploy more force against Russia and its proxies. Is that not what they're doing? Step up information warfare. Again, something else that's what's happening. To correct opinion, especially online, and send weaponry to our friends in Ukraine, which the U.S. just, $40 billion with of equipment and funds. Wow. Continuing on, the full post read, the heir to the Rothschild fortune argued that Russia must be excised from the international banking and economic system. We must bring Russia to its knees through any means possible to send a strong signal to the Chinese and to protect our global system of norms and liberal values. We must be under no illusions. If we allow Vladimir Putin to seize Ukraine, it will send a signal to our enemies. I just read that. All right, the rest of that. All right, they give you the translation in Romanian, which is not important to us. It says a spokesperson for Rothschild told Lead Stories via email on March 8th, 2022. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. This is utterly untrue and completely fabricated. Nat Rothschild has written no such letter. The Anti-Defamation League has published reports regarding the anti-Semitic conspiracy theories, there we go, about wealthy Jewish families owning all the world's banks. But they do. We all should know the story of the patriarch, Amschel Rothschild, and his 5 sons that he sent throughout and established what we know today as central banks. All right. That's fact. You can look those things up. Wow. So here we go with this attempt at plausible deniability bullshit. All right. And it's a sad attempt at that. It says in more recent years, the anti-Semitic notion that, here we go with that word, all right, that the Jews dominate and command the U.S. Federal Reserve System, in effect control the world's money, has surfaced across the extremist spectrum. A section in the report titled The Rothschild Connection says, in the literature of bigots, the name Rothschild is a trigger for most explosive of anti-Semitic tremors. And it usually sets off a litany of other Jewish names. See, you gotta understand what they did. Number one, they funded our slavery. And this is a stretch here, but I think it was done on purpose to get us. They knew who we were. They knew exactly what it was. You gotta understand, when you go study the Khazarians, Kagan Bullen, and I don't think his choice to choose Judaism was a happenstance. You got to understand, from the days of John Hyrcanus, when their forced conversion, in the era before Hamashiach Yahweh Shah was born, in the days of the later end of the Maccabees. Um, that forced conversion, I believe that was passed down through generations, word of mouth. All right, and that's why he did what he did. And from the time of the 8th century on, they had been studying. All right, and I do believe, this is me personally, that they did this because you got to remember, all up until that time, we were in that what they would call the Dark Ages. All right, and when they were studying and things of that nature and coming back up out of that lower state that they were in, well, by this time, when you have what they call their, you've got this line of rabbis starting in the 11th century. The second one was that racist piece of shit who they hold in great esteem, known as Rabbi Rashi. All right, I forget his real name off the top of my head. He was the second in that line. All right, so from then on, all this studying and stuff, I believe they, this was all planned to usurp us. All right, and with us going down, really, it started speeding up after the latter part of the 14th century and the later 1300s on up and into what you call the Renaissance. So again, and that's when they sought to displace us. All right, and then with Columbus and all this, and then the big lies being spread about who we were, who they are, and then putting their images in our book. So here we are. This is something that they're very good at. This is that part of that blessing. It involves deception, and this is just more of it. Continuing on, in 1983, the charge that Rothschild banks and other international banking concerns, mostly with Jewish names, control the Federal Reserve was published, probably from earlier sources, in the newsletter of a local Pennsylvania chapter of the National Association of Retired Federal Employees, not an extremist group. The article stated that the Federal Reserve System is not a federal entity, but a private corporation owned in part by the following. That's right. Rothschild Banks of London and Berlin, Lazard Brothers Bank of Paris, Israel Moses Seif, I guess that's how you say it, Banks of Italy, Warburg Bank of Hamburg and Amsterdam, Lehman Brothers Bank of New York, Chase Manhattan Bank of New York, Cohn Loeb Bank of New York, Goldman Sachs Bank of New York. All right. Oh, and of course they go on to say, well, no, this, they have, let me go ahead and read it. In fact, the Federal Reserve Bank of New York, the largest and most significant of the Fed's 12 banks, lists the banks in the Second Federal Reserve District that are members and stockholders in the New York Federal Reserve Bank. With the exception of the Chase Manhattan Bank, the institution cited by the NARFE newsletter has allegedly owning and controlling the Federal Reserve System. Rothschild, Lazard Brothers, Israel Moses Seif, Warburg, Lehman Brothers, Cohn, Loeb, Goldman Sachs were not members of the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. Lead Stores has written several articles debunking claims concerning the Rothschild family. You can see those here. Of course they're going to say this. That's the company line. All right. Man, these devils got a hell of a lot to answer for. They're lying scum. All right. Of course they're going to say this. Now, of course I'm talking about the Putin part. There's no proof yet, but isn't it strange? All right. What's going on? I just always thought about that. Could there be anything to it? Again, this is not a definite, smoking gun, but it makes you think. In any case, I'm going to end it there. All right. I like how they stamped that Fake letter. Hey, so with that, hey, shalom.